And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement podcast. I am Brad Winchester. With me is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blanken, coming to us in 420p, live from somewhere in the Phoenix area, Glendale, somewhere, right? Glendale. I in the McDowell compound. This is going well. I have a question for you, Tyler.
I'm guessing this is not how are you. I'm doing well, though. Thank you for thinking of me.
No, I was going to say, how are you?
Oh,
I really wanted to throw
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man, aside from the, what'd you say, 480p, I have to say that you said, looks like I'm calling you from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
MySpace vibes. That was really funny. Yeah, man, other than that, because we know those issues can be frustrating for us here at GI, I am doing so great. It's been a wonderful weekend. I am so glad you and hopefully you can hear me right now.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm watching your video take 5 seconds to catch up to your mouth.
Man, and
I think we're back. I think we're back.
Okay. On my end, it looks so good. Yeah, man, all is well here. You and I just chopped it up. We caught up for about an hour and change, which is classic us, but I am really energized to hear that you are doing well, that the first week of school was fantastic.
Yes, sir.
And I'm excited for another episode of GI. How are you, my dude?
I'm doing great. Just got back from a birthday party. Happy birthday, Daxton. Freya had a great time. We were at the trampoline park. It was a good time. Glad she got to go out there and bounce. She did take an ugly bump while at the trampoline park. She was on this swing thing, this rope swing gimmick, and she was letting go and diving off into the foam pit. But she let go a little late. I don't think she was thinking about where she was, and she landed on the ramp instead of on the foam pit, and half on the floor and half on the sheath over the edge, and she just thudded. It was just a loud thud, and she stared at us for a second. She went, "Oh," and she made a sound like all the air left her, like the wind got knocked out. I don't think it happened, but she's like, "My back hurts," and she wanted to be picked up, and I told her she was fine, but she's got a gnarly bruise on her spine.
No tears though.
No, she started to, but then she was like,
Okay.
"Put me down. I'm ready to play." So it was. She immediately got down and just hauled ass and started bouncing on the trampolines again. So
Beautiful.
Classic little kid thing. But she had a really ugly bruise / kind of blood blister deal, like broken blood vessels. She hit it hard, man. But kids are gonna kid. So she just went back to it. Aside from that, great weekend. What a great week in general, but especially what a great week in professional televised wrestling. Televised, I said.
Televised.
Man, it's starting to sound like
Easy
Al
for you to
Michaels. Like Chris Collinsworth pass rush. We got a pass rusher. Yeah, I will not be tuning in.
It's rough, man. I did watch Hard Knocks, I will admit, and it was fantastic. Dan Campbell, Lions coach. I'm sure Jess is obviously well aware of this guy. Man, just what a great character. But other than Hard Knocks, I really don't think I'm ready to commit to watching any football, even our beloved Cardinals. It's a struggle, man. We've talked about this on and off air on countless occasions.
I think I got Jess a t-shirt from theworldofsuey.com. It's the Lebitard show t-shirt merch stuff. And they had a shirt last year or 2 years ago that was Dan Campbell's kneecap soup. And it was a bunch of soup cans that say kneecap soup on it. I don't know if you remember his promo that they were going to bite their kneecaps.
Oh no, he's like brand new to me. I didn't know about his eccentric personality.
Absolutely bonkers. That dude is next level crazy. Like we're gonna kill people. We're gonna break bones. Then we're gonna eat them up. And we're gonna.
It doesn't matter if they have one leg and one ass cheek or 3 fingers and one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
we're gonna take them to the foxhole, and it's like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's go Detroit.
Yeah, I heard all that, and that they lose by 50 and have 1 win.
Yeah. And Jared Goff as the quarterback is fascinating. Like maybe this is his renaissance, maybe not. We'll see. Hopefully, it is for Jess's sake.
How did it go last year for Jared in Detroit?
It wasn't great.
Yeah,
3
it's going to
wins.
continue that way. Yeah, they're hot garbage. I think the Rams won out with Matthew Stafford and a Super Bowl ring. So, Tyler, let's get into it. Let's try to keep this one a little less than last time.
I think we can do it.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, comment, do all the things that will support us. It will help us greatly, especially leaving a comment, especially if you head to Good Pods. Listen to us on Good Pods. The Good Pods app is sort of a good reads for podcasting. Best way to describe it. You can create friend groups there and share out through there. So please check that out. Or check us out on YouTube. Also tap subscribe, hit the bell, and get onto the 19 Media Group channel. Subscribe to our playlist. Head to gimmickinfringementpod.com. Tyler has a new piece up right now. We have the Rose Report, I believe, part 4. It is a week 6 preview. Check that out. Always put it in great work. Always put it in entertainment for all of us. Support us. It does us a world of good. Tyler, I am ready for question 1.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone tuning into us week after week. It means a ton. So, Brad, we always start with WWE, and man, I had a few questions bouncing around in my mind, but I'm inspired by you, and I want to start with our SmackDown main event. So, perhaps a bit of recency bias on my part. Brad, the mid card is back, or a mid card title at least is back, and is getting a lot of shine and luster, which makes us very happy. Shinsuke Nakamura challenged Intercontinental Champion Gunther this past Friday night in an absolute banger. Shinsuke was unsuccessful, but my God, did he have fire gear? As did Gunther. Love the black and red combo. Brad, this match was awesome. I think the right guy won. I want to know how do I want to phrase this? How much hope do you have, or how stoked are you that both the IC title and the US title seemingly within 2 weeks have risen to a level of prominence that we haven't seen since, I don't know, early Big E reign, maybe even for the US belt going back to John Cena Open Challenge. It seems like they matter, and they're actually being able to main event a show, and the crowd is into it, social media is into it. How did you feel about this match, and what are your reflections on where these championships could be going in the near future?
I'm so stoked. So the IC in the US especially have such a legacy, right? I mean, WWE used to have 3 titles. They had the main title, and then they had the IC title, but I think we forget about the European Championship. That just sort of doesn't exist. And it was replaced by the US title, which is a WCW title. So there were all kinds of titles all over the place that sort of merged when the company was bought out, eventually leading to the creation of the Universal title. And I think there's just so many titles that those titles got lost in the sauce. We had the hardcore title for a while that became 24/7 kind of. 24/7 title sucks, but it gives something. It's something to do for the other talent to sort of chase around. But I feel like that's I don't know what to do with you, pal. Here's a title. And it doesn't mean anything, but we're all going to be aware that it doesn't mean anything. Well, if it doesn't mean anything, it kind of buries the character, because people attach the "it doesn't mean anything" to that character, with one exception, R-Truth. I think R-Truth constantly running away from people was a great thing, because he was a super long running champion, and he's sort of this comedy guy. So I think that worked for a comedy title. But here's the point. The IC title hasn't mattered in when's the last time it mattered? I stopped watching the product, but even when I was watching it kind of felt like the IC title belt hadn't mattered since Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Wow. So I'm not convincing you on my early Big E IC title reign.
No.
It mattered, but not to the level of Michaels and Owen Hart, etc.
No,
I would obviously agree with you there too.
It's that I would argue it didn't even matter. So the only thing it mattered for was building him as a credible person to eventually get the championship belt, the WWE championship.
It did more for Big E than it did.
Yeah. So
Big
the mid card
making the belt.
Yeah, the mid card belt has always been sort of that bridge to the next one, or only for the mid carders. I mean, think about like the 90s, maybe the 80s. I don't remember. But if you won the IC belt in the 80s, That was a big effing deal, dude. The Honky Tonk Man, and we had Pat being the first IC belt championship for how many years? I feel like he ran with that belt, and it mattered. Eventually, we get Brett and Sean and Stone Cold and all these guys before going up to the championship belt. Before winning that championship belt, it was that next step. Stone Cold is a very good example of that. He won it from Owen. He got his neck obliterated by Owen in that match, but he won that belt so that he would become more credible as a threat because he's a champion to win that next one. Putting credibility onto that IC belt and that US belt makes anybody that holds it suddenly matter. That means something. I don't know that it needs to be the stepping stone to that next thing, but anytime that person has a match with the champion, it makes that more credible. So Sami Zayn, for example, having the IC belt a couple of times, I think that's great. Would you say Sami Zayn in his current iteration is a credible threat for a championship?
Unfortunately not.
No, a mid-card championship, sure. But I would never say that he's only a mid-carder. I don't think anybody on that roster I could say is only a mid-carder, except for how they booked them. Ricochet, with his stuff with Baron Corbin, I actually really like. I feel like they're leaning away from Happy Corbin and they're going to get him away from that gimmick and go into the more, I'm just going to start punching people again kind of gimmick.
In the words of LeBron James, it's about damn time.
Yeah. So the simple video packages, Tyler, of the legacy that these belts carry.
Mm-hmm.
It's
true.
It's a 30-second thing, a minute thing, 2-minute thing, and it's boom. Suddenly this belt, oh yeah, I forgot this belt does matter and it does kick. Look at all these Hall of Famers and legends that have this belt. Like you don't have to go to the way back, but just simply go back 20 years and it's like, oh shit, look at all these people that have these belts. John Cena's Open Challenge, I think for the US was great, but what were we doing with IC during that time? I couldn't even tell you. So the fact that we're even having this conversation right now means everything, because when we were like, it's cool Ricochet has the belt. That's what we were doing. We were like, he has the belt. Who cares? Doesn't matter. We love Ricochet. We hope he has it forever. It doesn't matter. And it was just such a weird thing. And now it's like, I care about everything Ricochet is doing and he's wrestling Corbin. I also care about what Corbin is doing. Suddenly I care about Corbin because I haven't cared about Corbin in years because they haven't done anything by him. And I think he's totally underrated as a worker, as a character. I really think that people will talk about him, about how he's bad and boring and all this stuff. It's like the man is an enormous human being and he's charismatic and he could legit kill somebody in there. So the Bobby Lashley Tommaso Ciampa match, the US belt, Ciampa coming out with the Harley Race gear and then having, I didn't look at trending topics. I meant to do it, but my guess is Harley Race was trending when a bunch of people watching were like, who the hell is Harley Race? And then they found out and they're like, oh, this dude used to just punch people, huh? Okay. Like everybody was afraid. Everybody was afraid of Harley Race. Like you did not mess with Harley Race. He was sort of Stu Hart. Like Stu Hart would just start stretching people at dinner to let him know that he could.
I think we're gonna end up bringing up Stu Hart later in the episode. Yeah,
probably.
There's probably a decent amount of the WWE, I guess, universe, their population that is frankly maybe not aware that the US title and the IC title have such a profound legacy. Maybe I'm not giving the universe enough credit, but I think particularly for younger fans or even newer fans, they may not, like you said, Brad, they may not be aware of this serious, impressive lineage that these two championships carry.
Well, on the flip side of that, we're giving the tag team championships, if you have real tag teams, means something. But if you don't have real tag teams, they sort of function as a mid-card belt for people if you don't know what they do. And unfortunately, that's sort of how I feel this women's tag tournament going. I'm just not really I'm glad they're doing a tournament. I'm glad they're doing it that way. I think that rules. I think let's get a tag team in there that makes sense, which is why I think the Dakota EO tag team is the only one that makes sense right now to win, because everybody else is just sort of cobbled in there.
No, it's going to be their time. Absolutely. And then
I'm fine with that.
And then the prospect of Sasha and Naomi returning not too long after, and then you get that as if I mean that's completely box office with those.
And
four.
I think that's great, and you can do all of that. I just want to see tag teams be tag teams and not single stars be tag teams. Like I don't necessarily want Sasha in a tag team unless they're going to treat it like the New Day, and either have him freebird it, or at the very least have Sasha or Naomi do single stuff and be fine competing against each other. They have to establish that stuff. I don't need them splitting if they're going to do that. Like Dax and Cash had a match in AEW and they didn't split, but FTR is what they are. They're never going to be just single stars. They will always be FTR, where, at some point Riddle and Randy, if Randy comes back healthy, really hoping he does. Hopefully his back is okay. If they can reunite, I think that would be a no-brainer, but they're probably going to split them up and have a feud at some point. I kind of don't want that to happen. I like them paired together.
Wow.
I don't mind them feuding, but I don't want them to break as a tag team. I'm tired of all the tag team breaks. They have to feud. They have to break up. Why? Just be like, hey, we're done tagging for now, but we can, if you need me, let me know. Why?
Yeah,
why is that so complicated?
That was a trope of the last few years, or maybe even longer than the last few years in WWE, where, like you said, Brad, ultimately, as much as we loved any given tag team, unless their name are maybe the Usos, we always knew deep down that, well, as much as we love them now, they're going to break up.
Bayley and Sasha.
Yeah, because in Vince's mind, friendships, at some point, all friendships must die.
Yeah.
Unless your friend is the former president, and then we can kick them a few $1 million, a couple of money. That's a whole nother subject, though. Yeah, it's a whole nother.
Yeah, totally. So, really, 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 really excited. Is it perfect? No. Will it be? No. It's never going to be perfect. You and I know that we're sitting here outside looking in. We're not in the business. We're just talking about it. I have no idea how talent feels about this stuff. We're just sort of fantasy booking and talking about our opinions about what the show looks like. I want to see matches that matter. I want to see matches have stakes. They don't always have to have a championship attached to them, but they should build towards something. So real quick, and then I'll kick it to you here. The Usos, having the tag team belts, lost in a tag team match this week. And I'm just going to say this. I'm fine with it. I don't care. I don't care that the tag team champs got pinned. The Usos were pissed. They called out Drew, said, get a partner. I want to beat your ass in the ring, and I want to do it legally. Mm-hmm. It's just a fight at that point. So who cares if there's no title attached to it? Your champs lost, but they're losing against a team that's not a tag team. Yes, it's not a good look, but there was, a fresh man came in late to help out Drew. So who cares? And they had just gotten their asses kicked in the hallway before that. So I'm not really too concerned with it. They're building Drew up for that match. Whatever, they lost, so what? I just don't get the fury over it. It's not like it was booked that way. Like there's a non-title match and it's a champion. I hate championship qualifiers against the champion. Those drive me crazy.
Yeah, I think we can agree that's unforgivable.
That's stupid. So this wasn't that. This was just the Usos. I want to fight you. Get out here and fight us. That was it. That's all it was. So who cares if they lost? Yeah. It was just they wanted to fight.
And fortunately, that hasn't plagued their title run. In fact, I think it's been the opposite. They've been dominant since they've become champions. So maybe, that's if they were losing every few weeks to a team only to then beat their challengers at the pay-per-view or the premium live event, that's one thing. But the Usos have been crushing dudes for months and months on end.
And it was a sort of a quasi distraction finish anyway. So it's not like they lost clean, even though it wasn't a clean finish. It was a Claymore, but
I was kind of upset about it, but you're raising some good points, my friend. I got to be honest with you. You're very
persuasive. Like I don't like you, and probably like a lot of people, I don't like our champions losing and not losing the championship belt. It's why I like Thunder Rosa versus Yamashita, or Yamashita, I think is how they started saying it correctly. But I didn't need her to lose to get that match. Qualifiers are terrible. I hate them so much. So as long as they're not doing stupid stuff and it makes sense, I love the build that they're doing with these mid-card titles.
Yeah, I thought you would say that. And it's got me as excited as anything right now in the new Triple H regime. Of course, the resurgence of the women's division, particularly on Monday nights, has me probably the most stoked. But not too far behind that is the mid card titles and the resurgence, hopefully, of the tag team division. Final note on that, and this may be part of your question, Brad, but we also saw the debut of Hit Row, which leads me to feeling very, just very hopeful. And not only what acts we could see come into WWE, but it would seem that Triple H has much more of an appreciation for tag team wrestling than his predecessors. And I believe you and I are of the same mindset that there is nothing better than a well-executed tag match.
Yes.
Just call me a sucker for it, but for me, there's something special about tag team wrestling. And I hope we don't just have to limit that to AEW. If WWE can also now put tag teams in a prominent role and follow what you just said about building teams and not just putting two single stars together, I think we are in for some fun wrestling.
I absolutely agree. And it doesn't mean that tags can't break up. I mean, Edge and Christian,
of course,
the Hardy Boys, whatever.
Jannetty and Michael. Yeah, of course.
Yes. Yes.
And
let's be honest there. Jannetty was never going to rise to that star level. HBK had already surpassed him. I'm hoping that we get an in our house set. And if we get the profit splitting, that Angelo gets
that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Even though
I hope they swerve us. I hope they totally swerve us and turn Angelo heel and have him kick Montez through the window.
Or maybe, I don't think we've spoken about this, even though we've broached the subject before. Maybe they just don't have to break up, Brad. Maybe they don't follow.
I want to do a singles run,
and they each of them
got you back if you need me.
New Day.
Simple.
I don't want to compare them to the other prominent black tag team, but in terms of the booking,
not anymore. Hit Row.
In terms of the booking. Maybe it's just very New Day-esque where it's like, hey, we're not going to turn on each other. We just want to pursue our own solo ventures. And I think you, myself, and everyone listening who watches WWE would agree that Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins would thrive as solo acts. Dawkins is probably going for more of the mid-card belts, but I think he would be amazing. And as does former guest George Romero, that I live in an alternate universe where Montez Ford beat Roman Reigns for the championship at SummerSlam, and Montez Ford is currently our Universal Champion. That's my own alternate universe, though. That's not what we're seeing on our TV screens.
Tyler, it's really hard to squeeze in information about our thoughts about WWE in just one or two questions. So I'm glad we covered all that territory to try to bridge a lot of the things that happened. But it is my turn for a question, and this one you already knew was coming, and you already had time to process because I said we will address this question. So a little bit of background. Shawn Michaels actually has been in charge of NXT 2.0 booking. I wanted to bring that up to talk about there and to talk about what we know is coming now. Because I was thinking about NXT and Bayley specifically when we were talking about finishers, old school finishers. Bayley's finisher is a belly to belly suplex. They simply call it a Bayley to belly. Ravishing Rick Rude. His Rude Awakening was just a neck breaker. That's all it was. It was a simple neck breaker, which is hardly even a transition at this point. But it's a move that when he did it was devastating. We have a lot of different moves in old school wrestling that were suplexes, or Randy had the off the top rope elbow drop. Hogan had a leg drop. Tyler, in WWE specifically, non-AEW, in WWE, this is why this one will be a little harder. What is an old school finisher that isn't currently used as a finisher that you would like to be somebody's that is in WWE?
This is a great question. This was kind of spawned.
All of it. NXT. That's why I brought up NXT. Doesn't matter. So anywhere you want.
Yeah, this was formed through a text thread that we have with Alan and Merge, good friends and supporters of the show. A new text message that we just found a few days ago. That's all about our love for wrestling. And yeah, this was brought and food. Shout out to Bosnian cuisine. This was brought up a few hours ago, and I'm so tempted to pass it to you because I feel like you're going to have a very, very thoughtful answer here. But I'm going to go with, I think Merge brought this up. We'll have to plug his Twitter at some point here in a moment too. he mentioned Liv Morgan. And Brad, on SmackDown, she had this really beautiful bulldog off
Yes.
the top rope through a table. And to me, it gave me shades of Trish Stratus. So I would really love Liv to adopt this in her arsenal now. And I forget if Trish called it the Stratisfaction because she had like that Matrix move, she had a
Yeah.
kick, she had the Bulldog, but I'm pretty sure the Bulldog was called Stratisfaction.
I can't remember.
It's been so long, but I had
Yeah.
like a ridiculously huge crush on Trish when I was a kid. I was like, she
I
was
remember.
she was my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I'm gonna go with maybe the easy answer here. You may have expected this one. I'm gonna go Liv adopting that Trish Stratisfaction sort of Bulldog-esque move. Because I really want Liv to have a substantial title run, even though I'm worried she's going to drop it at Clash, which I wouldn't hate because we love Shayna Baszler, but I really want good things for Liv. So I'm going to go with that, but I anticipate that, like I said, you are going to have an absolute next level answer here. So I am ready. I'm going Liv and Trish, but it is your turn.
So I absolutely hated that Bulldog. I hated that Bulldog more than I hate most things. Tyler, I have told you repeatedly on this show. No, I've told you repeatedly on this show.
We're working on Freya's Bulldog.
Listen, yeah, Freya's looks good. So I don't like finishers where the other person has to do all of the work for the finisher. When they went through the table, I was confused why Liv was celebrating. Because it looked like Shayna just planted her ass on the table. I was like, that was a bulldog? The announce table was like, oh, a bulldog. And I was like, how was it a bulldog? Shayna just threw her. That wasn't a bulldog. That was Shayna picking up another human being off the top rope and planting them through a table. And then Shayna's hurt. Make it make sense. I hated it so much. I'm fine with Liv doing a bulldog, but if they do that kind of bullshit again, I'm not going to be fine with it. I hated it. It looked so bad.
I feel like I was set up. You knew I was going to say this, and you had your answer ready.
As soon as you started doing it, no, I've been thinking about it because I saw you say it in the chat, and I was like, "Do I want to dump on him for this? No, let him love Liv." And then I was like, "If you watch it back, you can see Shayna's like just holding her, like just legit."
Yeah, well, and the point about the ass just hitting that's valid. That doesn't seem pleasant.
I was like, it just didn't look good, and maybe it's because it developed so slowly. It just took so long because it was like Shayna walked her over to the rope and then slowly turned and took like 4 steps holding Liv before going through the table.
Let me ask. It
was a bullshit. It wasn't a bulldog.
I was listening to your soliloquy and I thought about a backup answer I would have.
All right.
How do you feel about
I'm with the bulldog? Just not like that.
Just not okay. And
not
then
a
I'm gonna pass it to you.
Bulldog.
What about, because if I think of current wrestlers that remind me of wrestlers from yesteryear, what about Chad Gable adopting something Kurt Angle-esque? Whether that be, he already does a moonsault, but what if he did the Olympic slam or a proper ankle lock?
Yeah, that could be really cool.
I mean, to me, his ceiling, I don't know that he's maybe a multi-time world champion, but I just feel like Chad Gable could give so much more. And similar to Kurt Angle, not just the exquisite in-ring work, but from a personality standpoint, I think Chad Gable can be an awesome, serious, ass-kicking wrestler. Yeah. He can also do funny really well. And I'm not a mark for the shoosh gimmick. I think it's a bit sophomoric. Although I love Daddy Magic, Matt Menard in AEW, and so I don't know. My levels of what I appreciate in sophomoric wrestling vary, but I think Chad Gable,
it's overdone.
Okay, I think Chad Gable. I'm gonna not be long-winded. Chad Gable, Olympic Slam and or ankle lock. Are you higher on that than my Liv Morgan Stratisfaction Bulldog?
I like a Stratisfaction Bulldog. I don't like it when it develops that slowly. It looks like the other person is throwing a person who's sitting down. It just looks so bad. Yeah, I would like it better because if it looks better and it's more believable, great. I'm not a fan of it. It's the same thing with Jade's deal. If I'm going to do that move and you can see the other person holding on and going, no, well, they have to get into position. Like, I don't like that. That's why, like Mark Henry doing that slam, the world's strongest slam. Mm-hmm. You know why it worked? Because he picked people up and dropped them on their freaking backs, and crushed them. Like it's simple.
Yeah,
like
I think you'd prefer Jade just have her thrust kick.
Yeah, let her just a bit, like a good big boot could be the finisher. Yeah. Omos, that should be the finisher, not a choke slam or anything. Just Omos big booting people into oblivion would be great. Imagine like if they make it a little bit bigger and the big boot just hits Ricochet and he flips 13 times after taking the boot.
Such a great sell, yeah.
Like it would be an incredible sell. People would think he was dead.
Yeah.
And that's all he needs to do. Undertaker had a great big boot. JBL had a great big boot.
Yes.
JBL's finisher was a clothesline. It doesn't have to be that complicated. So my pick, I already said it in the chat, is Gunther taking the Fritz von Erich's claw and just, I don't know what you call it, but it's just grabbing a face and squeezing it. Omos kind of could do that with Great Khali, kind of the squeezing to the head. But I'm haunted by Rey Mysterio bleeding out of his mouth during that. It was disgusting. That was a really horrible image. I thought that man died.
This is a great call by you. That perfect move, perfect wrestler for this.
But that's just it. He's the only one I can think of that would be believable with that. Just because of his facial expression is already like a little bit, I'm German and I will murder your family. And even though he's Austrian, that guy has like, he just has it. He has very serious. They've made him very serious. And I think if he did something like that, it could be taken very serious. As a submission move, I think that would be great, especially if you can get him on the mat and just start squeezing his face. I mean, come on. It would be perfect.
It would absolutely be perfect. I want to give one quick shout. The gentleman we were referencing earlier, Merge, he's at Merge1998. Of course, follow our guy, Alan Ramich, as well. I will find his Twitter here shortly. Brad, you know what else is perfect, though? It's my time to make these transitions. What's also perfect, more often than not, is The Bachelorette. And our segment, my segment, arose from Tyler. Cue my music.
And now, for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
I'm really proud of that transition, Brad.
That was good. That was solid. That was really solid.
Thank you. So first, you lobbed it up for me way earlier in the episode. I do have a new article out, gimmickinfringementpod.com. It is our week 6 preview. I think I'm getting my dates like mixed up here, but I know for sure we're heading into week 6, so this should be episode 6. And Brad, a pretty eventful episode last week. I think I told you about Logan, the Pat McAfee lookalike, who was in Rachel's group, but expressed feelings for Gabby. And the cliffhanger going into last week's episode was, what is he going to do? How's this conversation going to go with Rachel? And so we spoke with Rachel. He seemingly was honest, even though there's accusations that he may be an actor and may be on the show for wrong reasons. That's more so on Twitter. We're not seeing those accusations on this show. But anyway, he spoke with Rachel, and Rachel was supportive, but was upset that he waited this long in the process to tell her that he was actually feeling her homegirl more. But long story short, man, he is a part of Gabby's team now. He's a contender for Gabby. My prediction still has hope. I predicted him to receive Gabby's final rose. So we will see what happens there. There was the usual silliness in this episode. They had this group date with Gabby, where the men, it looked like an arm wrestling setup, but instead of arm wrestling, they had to slap each other across the face with fish. So this is all linked in my article. If this is sounding very enticing for you, don't worry, I got your back. The hyperlink city in the new piece, but they slapped each other. So again, sophomoric, not really my type of sophomoric humor, if you will. And we saw the usual one-on-one dates. A few dudes went home. The big takeaway, though, Brad, is that somehow we are 1 week away from hometowns. So this is really snuck up on all of Bachelor Nation, myself included. It seems like the season's been really expedited. And with this new format, there's been a lot of chatter amongst the community that are these guys ready for hometowns? Are the women, are the bachelorettes ready for hometowns? Meeting one's family, Brad, is a huge deal. I'm sure when you introduced Jess to the people that matter most to you, that was a big deal. You had probably known Jess a while and you knew this was your person. We don't know yet if this is really what should be happening in the season, but regardless, we're 1 week out from that, so that's not going to happen on this week's episode. But there's a lot of chatter about, are there enough serious contenders at this point? Tino seems to be the favorite for Rachel. Gabby, there's probably not a favorite. There's Nate, the Eric Killmonger doppelganger.
Right.
So it seems like he has a shot, but he's a single dad, and there's been hints of Gabby not being ready to be a mom. So it's a big mystery for Gabby, but Rachel, it seems pretty clear that she's going to end up choosing Tino. We will see. But yeah, man, we're 1 week away from hometowns. They're still on this damn cruise ship. I don't know why. And I'm just hoping that this week all the brothers will survive. So I hope Nate survives in Gabby's group. I hope Avon will survive in Rachel's group. But the numbers are not looking great right now. And yeah, man, it should be another good episode here. I can't wait for hometowns. And I don't know what's to come, but I'm going to be tuning in. And you know, as always, that I will have these recaps for you.
Thank you. That was great. I was checking out pictures. I saw that there was a vat of chocolate wrestling scenario that they were watching. And were they in Bruges? Is that where they were?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, and I saw some kissing. I saw some.
There's a spa date between Johnny and Gabby. Yeah, there were some things to entertain us.
What's Killmonger's name again?
Nate.
I saw Nate laughing as somebody else got slapped with a fish. He was in the background.
He's a front runner right now, man. He might pull it off.
Well, I'm rooting for him. But suck it, Logan. Okay. You got me in. I love these recaps way more than I would ever love the show. So
I'll take it. I will take that.
I absolutely love it. Tyler, I am ready for your question 2, AEW centric question. Let's do this.
Yeah, Brad. So a busy week in AEW. What's new, right? I have a few headlines for you. So I'm going to pass this one to you. I'm going to give you 5 options actually, and you tell me what you are most excited to speak about. You can only choose one.
Okay.
Chris Jericho, Lionheart Chris Jericho, had inarguably his best in-ring performance in AEW since maybe the founding of this company. What a brutal match. What a great showing by him. The gear, the entrance, the last survivor of Stu Hart's dungeon. It was awesome. We saw CM Punk return. So Jon Moxley successfully defended his title against Chris Jericho. Punk returns after. We are getting the mega fight at All Out, it would appear. CM Punk versus Jon Moxley. Only one person can be champion. We had the finale of Takeshita's run in AEW. So he put out tweets, which I know you enjoyed. He is on his way back home, but he had a really epic run here in the States. And I think he's become one of your favorite wrestlers.
Absolutely.
So you got me so far. We got Jericho. We got the return of Punk. We got Takeshita going back overseas. And then we also have the signing of Parker Boudreaux. That's an option for you. We also have Jada and Athena, and hopefully that's going to be our all-out match. Brad, you have 5 options there. I think I know one that you don't want to speak of. I won't share which one that was, but your choice, man. I'm giving you the lob here. I want you to take over. Which one do you want to speak about?
Not Parker Boudreaux when there's all these women that haven't been signed. Okay.
We also got the trios tournament, by the way. I forgot to mention.
Yes.
If I can jump in, Brad, I totally.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
I knew I was forgetting something in this this really messy stew of a
There's
question.
another one in there too. I'll throw it.
Okay. Yeah. So we put this poll out, Brad, GI Pod 19 on Twitter, and my selection came in last. As of our recording right now, the question was posed: who do you think is going to win the inaugural Trios tournament at next month's All Out? House of Black, Dark Order, Best Friends, or Young Bucks? And question mark. Maybe Kenny Omega this week? We will see. Brad, have you looked at the results of this poll?
I did when it was still live, so I haven't seen the results now.
Okay, the final results: Dark Order 18%, Best Friends 9%. That was my one vote. Chose with my heart.
Surprised that it's lower than Dark Order.
I want you to peep this, and maybe this is where I'm steering your question. House of Black 36%.
Wow.
Young Bucks and double question mark 37%.
Ooh, okay.
I am now going to pass it to you, my friend. Busy week in AEW. Messiest question in the history of the show. Which do you want to speak about?
All of them, including the minus MJF, the reunion of the Pinnacle, which is also a thing that happened.
So good.
Huge pop for FTR making their return. That was amazing. Great week of almost great week of AEW. Rampage was not Dynamite. Rampage sucked. but Dynamite was amazing. So man, this is a tough one. Um, I think I want to go with your first question. I don't remember what it is.
Lionheart, Chris
There you
Jericho.
go. Thank you. I knew it. I knew it
Beautiful.
was like that's the one I was going to go with.
Covered a
So
lot of ground. There we go.
yeah, the Lionheart coming back played out to WCW music, which I think Fightful reported or somebody reported that um, they actually the rights to hundreds of WCW songs are just sort of open and you can use them because they're not being used anywhere. So the Lionheart theme was available and they played that. So Chris Jericho came out to his OG theme, wearing the original Lionheart gear, having the Lionheart hair, super clean shaven Chris Jericho looked 10 years younger at least.
Minimum.
It was shocking how good Chris Jericho looked. I thought he looked great in the match. I thought the match was brutal. The earring spot was foul. Straight up ripping an earring out of John Moxley's ear was
and then
disgusting.
presents it to the camera.
And presenting it to make sure they knew that
Just in
we
case we missed
knew
it. Yeah.
that this is real. This is a thing that just happened. Absolutely disgusting. I thought the match was great. I thought Moxley not tapping to the walls of Jericho through an entire commercial break was was amazing. I people had a problem with it. I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I was like, as soon as they went to break, it's like he better be in the walls when they come back. Sure as shit, there he is in the walls. We got all of the Chris Jericho spots. We got the come on, baby. We got the lion salt, the kick off the ropes, the springboard kick off the ropes, or at least attempts at everything. We got a lion tamer. We had everything in this match. And the match ends. Moxley retains, and then the Yaz comes in to beat up Moxley, and then who comes out to help? Blackpool Combat, but they're still outnumbered. Enter CM Punk. Absolutely ruled. But specifically with Lionheart Chris Jericho, I love that he's getting this sort of last kind of run where he gets to run through all of his gimmicks. I feel like they're doing something similar with Edge over in the WWE right now.
Great analogy.
So there's just different. Let's reinvent your old character by paying homage to it, but having it be a little bit different. Where Jericho's straight up like, I'm this now, but if you want me to turn it on, I'll turn it on. I will be the Lionheart. He had the Mexican thing that he did a while back. What does he have left? He's the only thing he has left is Y2J, which he can't really do there. And I don't need him to. I would love at some point when he's like, I'm going to retire, do the Royal Rumble, come out as to Walls of Jericho or break the walls down and be done. But if we get Lionheart one last time, this is so great. I struggle with Chris Jericho sometimes personally because of things, but his political views, but the guy's a person of faith, and I know he does the right thing in most circumstances, and he seems to be super open to people. Like, you can't be super problematic and also be totally fine having somebody that is openly gay on your show just to talk to you about the challenges you've endured.
Mm-hmm. Anthony Bowens, right?
Yes. And people call you a piece of crap. I don't know if that's fair. For me, he's on my Mount Rushmore.
That's why I struggle with this question for you, because I could go Takeshita, who I know has a special place in your heart. I could go trios. I could go trios. I could go Danhausen and Eric Redbeard, Beardhausen. But I know how much Jericho's career has meant to you, and this was a universally applauded performance by him. So I know, and maybe longtime listeners recognize this as well, but Jericho is absolutely in your Mount Rushmore, and for good reason.
And I think kind of the way that people like do the LeBron Jordan stuff, we're not appreciating LeBron while he's here enough because we're trying to go like, well, it'll never be as great as Michael. And it's like, well, appreciate the greatness now, because as a player, he's better than Michael was. Greatness wise, you're never overcoming Michael. I don't care. It's Michael Jordan, the end period. Like, you can't do that. Even if LeBron is a better player, there'll never be a Michael Jordan ever again, because nobody can exist in that era at that time and be that dominant. LeBron is dominant now, but Jordan came first, so he's Jordan. Jordan wasn't wearing LeBron's. LeBron probably grew up wearing Jumpman's. So It's just such an unfair comparison. But the point is that I want to appreciate Jericho as much as I can while he's still wrestling, because I didn't get to see Triple H's last run, and I know it wasn't great, but we'll never see another Triple H match ever again, ever. I always thought there'd be that one more. Kane, even though I would love to see that dude have to take a bump, said recently in an interview that he wouldn't be able to get back up if he took a bump. So I think he's probably done. And Undertaker retired. We have all these legends that are around us. Tyler, we just got to see the Lionheart wrestle. Like we talked about our favorite, arguably our favorite pay-per-view, maybe of all time, is that ECW pay-per-view and One Night Stand, the first One Night Stand in particular. And we got to see Jericho come out. I think he was wearing the Lionheart gear for that. He was wearing the black and yellow, and he had the hair down. That's probably the last time we saw Lionheart Chris Jericho. And that was a throwback to 10 years before that. And the fact that in 2022, we got to see the Lionheart is pretty incredible. So I'm trying to soak it in and absorb it and not be like, this person. It's like, I don't, just entertain the hell out of me. And that's what I want right now. Yeah. I'll worry about your personal political stuff later on. But right now in the moment, I want to appreciate what I get to see. And I'm so grateful that Tony Khan was probably super supportive. It might have even been his idea, I don't know, to sort of do this Jericho last run. Because I don't know how much longer he has in him. Jericho will do it till the wheels fall off. But at some point, he's probably going to be like, if I can't do a lion salt cleanly anymore, even with my hands landing first, then I don't want to do it. I suck, and I gotta mail it in.
I mean, the man is 52, is he not?
I think he's 51.
51.
You'll be 52 this year. Yeah.
There is a world in the near future where it's probably it for him in ring wise, and but
maybe not. Look at Sting,
but
maybe not.
It's true. That's a great comp. And Darby versus Brody. I mean, again, it's hard to
God. There's so much.
The most difficult part of this for me every week is just coming up with one question. Darby versus Brody was bananas, but Sting had a great moment there. For Jericho, AEW to me is so synonymous with Chris Jericho and vice versa. He's been, in my opinion, as important of a piece to this company and their success as anyone, Brad, as much as MJF, as much as Hangman, as much as Kenny, as much as Cody when he was there, so on and so forth. Jericho was not only the first champion, but I think he's been interwoven in so many important stories. And that's not to mention, I'm sure the work he's doing backstage and the mentorship and, Daniel Garcia, so on and so forth. He's been critical to AEW. So if there comes a time where he hangs it up, period, or maybe has a Sting-like role on television, there's going to need to be that next ushering of talent that are going to fill the prominent spots he's in. I don't think we have to worry about young talent filling those spots whatsoever. But to your point, Brad, this was just the best way for Jericho to remind us of how legendary he really is.
And I think going to that simple move or whatever, Jericho doing a Boston Crab it's just a Boston Crab. But when Jericho does it, it's not just a Boston Crab. It's the walls of Jericho. A sharpshooter is a sharpshooter, but a figure four is a figure four. But when Ric Flair's putting on a figure four, it's not a figure four. It's a Ric Flair figure four, and you're probably going to tap. It's just there's so many different aspects of his character that I think can't ever be duplicated, nor should they. That I think another wrestler could take over and do something very similar that I'm excited for. MJF. I really want to see. I want to see things happen for the future, but I want to appreciate the past while it's still with us in the present.
Well said.
Okay, Tyler. We just talked about Jericho. We talked about the state of his body and his career, but it's time to talk about the state of 19 media. Let's go.
And now it's time for the state of the biz.
Small Town USA is back with another great episode. Join co-hosts Carmen and Jess on their latest adventure as they traverse through some of the very weird places in Massachusetts. They've got slippery pole dancing, creepy rocking horse henges, bad art museums, and more.
Late Night Lake Show dropped an extra fresh episode. Check out Ricky and the Crew as special guest Jovan Buha of The Athletic answers the burning questions surrounding crypto arena, including Darvin Ham's vision and Kyrie Irving trade possibilities. Could you hear my cat in the background, Brad?
Is that what that was? I thought it was a crying child. I was like, what the hell is that?
No, that is just the wonderful cat named Baxter.
I don't know if that cat, you said Baxter?
Baxter,
I'm not sure if Baxter is hip to the games, but they are back. Not only do we consider Desmond Powell to be a great friend of the show, but he's also co-host of one of our favorite podcasts in the 19 family. Check out his latest concept. This week is in basketball and hip hop history on the new episode. You don't want to miss this.
The Baseline NBA podcast is still running these content streets. Co-hosts Warren and Cal released 2 new episodes, not 1, but 2. First, be sure to listen to their What is the Current Criteria for Someone to be Considered a Two-Way Player episode. But that's not all. Also, check out their latest Who You Got, OKC's Josh Giddey and Chet Holmgren, or Houston's Jalen Green and Jabari Smith.
Speaking of Warren, he dropped a brand new edition of Dope Interviews. Special guest Sasha Penn, showrunner for Starz Power Book 3 Raising Cain, drops by to give a behind-the-scenes look at the show. We know you'll enjoy it.
It's a big summer for the Orlando Magic and its fan base. On the latest episode of Close Up Magic, superfans Steven and Malik discuss the Paulo Banchero versus DeJounte Murray beef, and welcome special guest Philip Roseman Wright, editor of Orlando Magic Daily, to discuss the juiciest headlines of the week.
Tyler, I am sweating in this room. It is hot in this room. Join Mo for the latest edition of Hidden Gems Golf. Tap in and hear his thoughts on golf's latest event, the FedEx St. Jude Championship from Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, Brad, finally 2 shout-outs. First, shout out to Jabari Davis, the incomparable Jabari Davis, and the work he is doing behind the scenes on iHeart's Mad Boosties. If you are a fan of hoops, check out their show. It is phenomenal, and they don't make many dudes better than Jabari. Also, speaking of great dudes, shout out to Mike Steff, former GI guest and fellow podcaster. You can check out his show, The Salty Thoughts of Donnie Ooh, for detailed, passionate commentary, as you know, on the latest news in sports, professional wrestling, and New York politics. He is quite versatile, and you're in for an adventure when you check out his show.
Well said, man. Lots of good stuff happening in 19 this week. Like that was one of our longest 19 lists in a while, I think.
Yeah, very excited. Very exciting times here. Loaded team over there at 19M Group on Twitter. Yeah, man, we're pretty fortunate to be among such a talented group.
Agreed. And speaking of loaded, my next question is loaded with suckage. Tyler, man, Rampage blows when it's taped. I asked you this before. What do they need to do to fix it? But I think it's a simple answer. I just do. But think about what it was. Rampage is what, less than a year old? CM Punk came back, I believe, in September of last year.
The second episode, I believe.
That was the second episode. The first episode. Do you remember what happened at the main event of the first episode?
I only remember this because you retweeted it. Please follow Brad on Twitter at Winduster. I said I would give a shout out to Alan Ramage. He's at Alan Ramage03. Brad, yes, you retweeted it. I remember Christian Cage defeated Kenny Omega to become the Impact Champion. One of the best kill switches. Is that what he's calling it?
Yes, onto
now?
A chair. Kill switch.
Onto a chair. Yeah, I remember he had a different
name. Oh, boy.
Prettier. Yeah, the way Kenny's head bounced off that chair, I still think about that. That was the first episode of Rampage. CM Punk, First Dance, episode 2. I was chaperoning a dance at Cactus High School when this happened. Yeah, Brad, they were off to the races. Fast forward a year, and I don't mean to take your question. Fast forward a year, and we're getting Parker Boudreaux on the show.
More like for 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes of the show, there was Parker Boudreaux in promos at the end in a match. It's just, get this guy off my screen. This discount bullshit Brock Lesnar that can't work.
I don't.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad Sonny Kiss is here, but I don't see it either.
So happy that Sonny's on the screen. I miss Sonny, and maybe Parker's going to be great. I don't know. I'm still pissed that he asked for followers and then did a follower dump. You piece of shit. I supported you.
That's the real heart of the issue here. We didn't forget, Brad.
What an
There have been
absolute prick for that.
there are listeners who remember this. Yeah, the dude absolutely pulled the
Yeah.
fast one on you.
I don't care what he does from here on. He's a heel forever for me. Like, I will comment on everything, even though I have no business in doing so. That guy can go get wrecked.
And maybe he has a bright future. He's young, he's athletic, but I think your point, Brad, is I know we haven't gotten to your question yet, but I know your point is that he's getting TV time on this stacked
No, that was the
roster.
question is how do they fix it?
Yeah, I think it's prioritizing who not only the talents on Rampage, but the matches, the feuds. This Rampage in particular, I know you haven't loved a few of their recent ones, but this one,
Diet ROH, even like it's what is the show? What is Rampage at this point?
Exactly. I think the first step is maybe answering that question. If it can't be, Christian versus Kenny for the Impact belt, it can't be CM Punk returning every week.
Right.
But you also don't want it to be what we saw this week, where as much as we love Orange Cassidy was in a match to main event that really didn't do anything for me. The whole Trust Busters trio,
I don't care.
It's so glaring that they are in the trios tournament. Every other trio in the tournament makes sense to me. They've had a prominent role. They're amazing. Some of the teams we didn't mention are Andrade's crew with Roosh and Dragon Lee.
Yeah, good lord.
United Empire. Match. We're gonna get Will Ospreay back on our screen.
Yes.
Death Triangle is somehow the maybe 5th or 6th most prominent trio, even though I think they're 3 of our favorite
in there.
Even though they're 3 of our favorite workers, and I consider Rey Fenix to be the best in-ring wrestler in the world.
All 3 of them have held AEW gold.
Yeah, they're just absolute stars in their own right. So the Trust Busters, it just seems like a really curious choice. They seem very high on Daivari. I think he's doing work backstage, apparently, according to reports from Fightful. They seem very high on Parker Boudreaux. And they have that Slim J dude, I believe, who apparently has a pretty strong independent background, which I'm not super hip on. Yeah. This Rampage in particular just...
They remind me of the Factory.
It very much, but a step beneath the Factory.
Yes.
I'd rather see the Factory.
I'd rather see QT and Aaron Solo in there with Camarado.
Or Frozen Caveman.
Yes.
Well, who's now doing like a Tony D.
Who's like, Tony Camarado. I'm Nicholas Camarado now.
Yeah. Then they got Kaden Carter. Speaking of Tony D, actually, that's funny.
Oh, right.
I would much rather see the Factory in this role than the Trust Busters. So I agree. The Trust Busters, aside from Sunny getting TV time, which was awesome, didn't do it for me. This Rampage felt the most underwhelming that a Rampage has felt to me in a long time. So yeah, Brad, I think good question to start is, what is Rampage? What do we want it to be? And I just think there are so many other acts, so many other talent on the roster that could be, I don't mean to pick on these dudes, but that could be in the role the Trust Busters are in. To me, I did not understand why over the past week to 2 weeks, they've just been getting this push.
Yeah, that's
only to lose in the first round, presumably.
Yeah, I don't know why they're there. I like put them on Dark and build them out, and
as I think they've been doing.
Like they have, but for like what, a week, 2 weeks. Parker Boudreaux has been there for 3 minutes,
right?
And he's on Rampage.
Yeah,
he's on my screen in Dynamite. Like,
and he did it. He didn't follow you back. Ultimately, it was all just a ruse.
He did follow me back,
but then
dropped me.
But then it wasn't. It was not for the long run.
What a
total ruse.
Piece of bleep.
But hopefully we're getting Kenny Omega back this week, Brad. So all will be forgiven on Wednesday.
If it doesn't happen, my trust will be busted. What the hell is that name?
Yeah, the
Trust Busters.
Very, very bad 90s movie.
Oh, it's just god awful. Yeah. It's like low budget porn. Trust Busters. What the hell is this? Absolutely. Out of here with this. It's just all of it. The whole show soured me. I found myself getting up and leaving to go do stuff. It was on in the background, and I was like, I don't care. I'll just look up the results later. It's taped. Who cares? Last week, I was like, this was a good show. It wasn't great, but it was good. But it was live. I just missed my Rampage was appointment viewing for me for so long that it's just the last 3 months or so, just not good, really bad. Ever since this, I'm telling you, man, ever since this ROH stuff started happening, it's just been like, let's just put whatever person we need on the screen to get him TV time. And I don't want that. They specifically said it won't be a B show. They specifically said it won't be this, like, it won't be Thunder. It's turning into Thunder. I don't want to watch it if it's going to be Thunder. I don't care if my favorite stars are cutting promos on there, taped promos on there. I'll just catch them online. It's a different era. Put something meaningful in front of my face or get out of here. Because they're not doing title changes on a tape show. They're just not.
Yeah. And it really goes back to what you said initially of our expectations were so high, and for good reason, because the introduction, Tony Khan introduced us to this concept of Rampage as there are going to be big things happening on this show. Brett, CM effing Punk, after what, 7 years, shows up on episode 2 of Rampage. A moment that I think we're going to be speaking about a decade from now when GI goes global, truly global. That's just, if you fast forward, like you said, a year from then till now, I think there does need to be a revisiting of the conversation of what is Rampage and how do we make it more consistently meaningful.
I'm thinking about the opening for Rampage. I'd have to look up like a video and watch it. We get Miro, Adam Cole, CM Punk, Sting. I don't know if anybody else was in there. Statlander.
Shout out Chris Statlander.
I think
healthy vibes.
Yeah, man. I hopefully she come back.
Great new tee on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yes.
Is that in your cart yet? You don't have to tell
I have no money.
Yeah, too expensive here too.
What is it? Jade Britt, I think, might be on there.
Yeah. Jade, right?
Yeah. So I think out of those 7 people that I just named, I don't think a single one of them was on Rampage. Danielson might have been in there doing this from the top rope or whatever, but he was in there doing a promo, but he wasn't wrestling. Great promo with Garcia.
Yeah,
I will say that.
Talk about a loaded Dynamite.
Well, that was Rampage. That was the start of Rampage.
Yeah, right? And then setting up for.
But it's setting it up for Dynamite. Like set it up for Rampage.
Yeah, exactly.
Put that on Rampage. Get people interested. Invested.
Even the days of Miro squashing Fuego del Sol, that was still. I hold that match close to my heart. That ruled.
Miro was still on our screen wrestling. That's the part. That's the
Miro.
point, man.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to see people that I love on the screen instead of just saving it for Dynamite. Because if it gets like that, I'm going to stop watching Rampage. I'm just going to start watching SmackDown all the time. Because SmackDown freaking ruled this week. That's a hell
of a statement. Yeah.
And SmackDown was so good. There were moments where I was like, I didn't need this, but I said that for the whole episode of Rampage. So it's just not very good right now. I need him to fix it. I don't know what the simple fix is, but I will be thankful when they fix it. And right now, Tyler, it's time to be thankful here on GI. It is time for GI's moment of gratitude.
And now it's time for a little self-reflection. So, think about yourselves. Or something.
Brad, I will say this is a talent of yours, so I am glad that I am going first. And then I'm going to pass it to you for the really sentimental, the really meaningful gratitude. And I think you have a story today of a person that you and I both adore. That being said, though, I want to first share my gratitude, which is related to the WNBA. Brad, just a few hours ago, I witnessed probably my favorite basketball game of the year. Of course, I love the NBA playoffs. Really happy the Warriors ended up taking it home for various storyline reasons. But the Seattle Storm were playing at the Las Vegas Aces. Brad, I know you were at a birthday party. I know you were watching Freya enjoy her pizza, which is just cheese and crust, which you told me before on air, sand sauce is actually not bad.
Yeah, people, you go out and try this. You got some coops, you go get a pizza, no sauce. Cheese pizza, no sauce, extra cheese, fine.
I'm so skeptical.
Change your life.
Okay.
If you want to take it up, like you need the sauce, get it on the side, dip it.
Without going to a full 90-minute episode here, as we're prone to do, I will say that Seattle Storm versus Las Vegas Aces was an absolute heavyweight title fight, Brad. Sue Bird's last regular season game, the likely MVP in Asia Wilson on Las Vegas, my WNBA crush, the one and only Kelsey Plum, playing as well, and playing quite well also. Thank you for that. We don't talk about it enough as a society. She's amazing on and off the court. It was just a great game, Brad. You know that I try to stay hip to the W. You know I am a big fan. I love talking about it. I love watching it. And I'm most grateful because the WNBA playoffs are starting this week. And somehow the Phoenix Mercury made it. The conundrum I face now, though, Brad, is that the Mercury are playing at the Aces, I believe on Wednesday, to open this up. So I'm not sure who to root for. My heart is telling me the Mercury, although I'm still upset that we haven't gotten a conclusive report on the Robert Sarver investigation. He owns both the Suns and the Mercury. So I'm still in perpetual flux with what to do with my fandom there, but particularly for the Mercury, I really want to cheer for them. So I think the Aces are going to win. I think they're going to win the title this year. Want Kelsey Plum and co to do well. Chelsea Gray had an amazing game today. But yeah, man, super excited for the playoffs. We got the Liberty, we got the Sky, we got a bunch of great organizations that are going to put on some really entertaining games as soon as this Wednesday. So super grateful for Kelsey Plum, for the W, and the basketball that I get to watch. We don't have to wait till October for hoops, Brad, as some may lead you to believe. We have great hoops now, and especially upcoming this week. So I'm grateful for the league, and I am very excited to hear your story of gratitude now.
I always appreciate how much you love the WNBA. It doesn't.
It's
get
not a
enough
shtick.
love. No, it's absolutely not. You've been rocking tees and waving the WNBA flag for a long time. So this is not a recent thing to get clout. Tyler loves some WNBA. I wanted to switch gears a little bit, not say what I'm grateful for, other than I want to say I'm grateful for Terry Pickell. I heard a story today that, or not today, I guess a couple of days ago, that Terry was involved in Mr. Jim Atterbury, the band teacher and guitar teacher on campus, was in need of some guitars. And years ago, 1990s.
Oh, okay.
Terry,
great,
no,
great
this
man.
was, no, the guitars were needed now.
Oh.
In the 1990s, Terry was working on campus, and at lunch, there was a girl, a kid. I don't know much about this other than like the specifics of who this person was. I don't know their name or anything about them because they wanted to remain anonymous. They were kind of tough to deal with a little bit, and very demanding, and lots of yelling, and I'm not doing this, and I demand my lunch different. I'm not waiting in line, that kind of stuff, which sounds like that never really left. But Terry, ever the person to care and ever the person to go out of their way to make you feel comfortable, would leave the lunch to the side for the kid, so she didn't have to wait in line. She'd just pick up her lunch and go and be on her merry way. And it was always making it a point to ask them how they were doing and that kind of thing. That little act of kindness made such a difference that when Jim said he needed some guitars, they donated 20 guitars or 13 guitars or whatever it was to the guitars. And they said, well, what do you need? He said, well, ultimately I'd like to have 50. A couple days later, they had the rest. So they donated 50 guitars to the guitar program on campus. And it was just because Terry was kind to somebody 30 years ago or 25 years ago, whatever it may be. This person is like a biker club type thing. And their entire club donated all the guitars to the school, but did not. I feel like I'm outing people right now. Maybe I'll scrub this. But they wanted to remain anonymous. In fairness, I have absolutely no idea who they are. But this is the story that as it was relayed to me. Hopefully it's truthful, but it sounds absolutely like a thing that would happen. So I am very grateful for people like Terry. I'm very grateful for Terry. And I'm grateful for the kindness reciprocated by strangers. I think it's really great. So that's what I'm grateful for this week.
Man, not that your anecdote deserves a response from me, because it can just sit as it is and be amazing. Terry Pickell is just an absolute angel. Anyone in the Marana community, especially anyone that's attended or worked at Marana High School, how can you not adore her? She is one of those people, Brad. I'm sure our listeners and viewers can think of someone like this. She is someone where no one has a bad word to say about her. And I didn't go around asking people, hey, what do you think about Terry Pickell? You got any dirt on this woman? But just when her name gets brought up, everyone just beams, because she makes you feel like you are the most important person in the world when you speak with her. Mm-hmm. She's just, if we can all try to be a little more like Terry Pickell, I think we'll live in a really amazing community. She's just the best. Yeah. I'm so happy to hear this story. Thank you for sharing that.
It's such a good one, man. It's just it's all positive. All of it is good. And we always have a good but or well, this is really bad, now it's good. It's just sort of, it's all good, and it's all based on kindness. Just simply be kind to each other. When we talked off air before the start of the show about people where it's like, if we can just learn to be open, you can save your beliefs, but still learn to appreciate other people for what they are and what they believe, and not cause a giant problem. It's not always easy, but I think Terry's a great example of just kindness begetting kindness. And yeah, love her. She's been part of my entire adult life in my career. So from the beginning of my career at Marana High School until now, for the last 16 years. So really blessed and really happy for her, and try to be more like her every day.
Yeah. Yeah, she's amazing. And I think you are a great example of this as well, my man. That is why you all should follow Brad on Twitter. And unlike Parker Boudreaux, genuinely follow him.
Yes, thank you.
Follow his content. Just support the man, because he is awesome. He's at Winduster. I am at Tyler J. McDowell. We are at GI Pod 19. And we thank you so much for listening, for viewing, especially if you've made it to this point where you can hear us saying this and expressing this gratitude toward you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We couldn't do this without you, and we are so grateful for your support. Brad, before we get our final read, any last things you want to add here? It's week 2 for you at Marana High School. It is the first week of the fall semester for us here at ASU, at Arizona State University. So, man, I just hope these great vibes continue as we progress through the semester for both of us.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to another week. I'm looking forward to, after this, going to the in-laws, probably to jump in the pool with the fam, and then heading back here to finish up some laundry, edit this big sumbitch, and then go to bed after doing a little bit of planning, rinse, repeat, and it'll be good. I'm working on a piece right now. Looking forward to finishing that. Don't know if it'll happen tonight, but I'm going to try. And yeah, just looking forward to another good week. How about you?
Yeah, you're the man. Everything you said, and then some. New semester, so job-wise, that has implications, exciting implications for welcoming students. And then I start a new class on Thursday as well.
Awesome.
So busy times here at GI, Brad. But like you said, so many blessings, so much gratitude to share continuously, and I can't wait till we chop it up again next week. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Good Pods, our premier partners, and Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.